Good morning, everyone. Today, as fireworks light up the sky in celebration of our nation's independence, a different kind of change, a legislative spark, is happening in Washington, one that could impact millions of Americans. President Trump is set to sign his sweeping domestic policy bill into law this evening, a bill he has often referred to as a big, beautiful piece of legislation, marking a pivotal moment not only for his administration, but also for the future of higher education funding in the United States. This is a landmark achievement for the president. The bill, which passed after a fierce political battle, with debates echoing through the halls of Congress, covers a wide range of issues, from tax reforms designed to stimulate the economy to measures aimed at bolstering border security, and crucially, includes a complete overhaul of the federal student loan system, a system that has been a source of stress and anxiety for countless families. These are not minor tweaks or adjustments to existing programs, they are fundamental changes, a complete restructuring of how the government approaches student lending that will redefine how students borrow and repay loans for decades to come, potentially altering the landscape of higher education accessibility. As we celebrate Independence Day with barbecues and patriotic displays, a new era of financial responsibility and perhaps uncertainty is dawning for America's students and their families. The excitement and anticipation in Washington are matched by a sense of anxiety and concern on college campuses across the nation and in households nationwide, where families are grappling with the rising costs of higher education. Understanding these changes, the nuances of this new legislation, is now absolutely essential for anyone planning to attend college or already burdened with student loan debt. The decisions made today, within the walls of the White House, will directly shape the futures of a generation of learners, influencing their career paths and financial well-being for years to come. At its core, Trump's legislative achievement is a massive spending and tax bill with clear priorities. It delivers tax cuts and boosts funding for the Pentagon and border security, but enacts deep cuts to federal programs, fundamentally altering the social safety net. Critics warn the bill slashes food and health benefits for the poorest Americans while giving tax breaks to higher earners, fueling a heated debate about fairness. For students, the most critical piece is the radical restructuring of the federal student loan system. The new rules introduce strict borrowing limits, fewer repayment options, and tougher terms for parents. For many, the path to a college degree just got steeper and more complex. One of the biggest changes coming to the federal student loan landscape is the introduction of strict, new lifetime borrowing limits. This represents a significant shift in how students and families will finance higher education. It's a policy change that aims to bring more fiscal responsibility to the system, but it also introduces new challenges for those pursuing degrees. These are hard caps on the total amount you can borrow in federal student loans over the course of your academic career. This means that careful planning and a deep understanding of these limits are now more crucial than ever before. Students need to be aware of these caps from the moment they start considering their college options. For undergraduates pursuing a bachelor's degree, the total cap is $50,000. This includes all federal loans taken out for tuition, fees, and living expenses during their undergraduate studies. For graduate students seeking master's or doctoral degrees, the borrowing limit is set at $100,000. This higher limit reflects the increased costs often associated with graduate-level programs and the longer duration of study. And for those enrolled in professional programs such as law school, medical school, or other specialized fields, the lifetime borrowing limit is $200,000. This acknowledges the substantial investment required for these advanced degrees and the potential for higher future earnings. These are not annual limits, they're the total you can borrow, ever, across all your federal student loans. It's a cumulative limit that applies throughout your entire academic journey, from your first undergraduate course to your final year of professional school. If you max out your undergraduate loans, you'll have significantly less, or potentially nothing, left for grad school. This necessitates careful consideration of your long-term educational goals and how you plan to finance each stage of your academic career. For many students, especially those attending private or out-of-state institutions, these caps won't cover the full cost of attendance. The rising cost of tuition and living expenses can quickly exceed these borrowing limits. This is especially true at top-tier or out-of-state schools, where tuition fees can be substantially higher. Students aiming for these institutions need to be particularly aware of the potential funding gaps. As a result, students may be forced to turn to private loans to bridge the gap between federal aid and the total cost of their education. This can create a more complex financial situation. Private loans often come with higher interest rates and fewer borrower protections compared to federal loans. This can lead to a greater debt burden and less flexibility in repayment options. The new system, with its strict borrowing limits, is a dramatic shift from the previous policy, representing a fundamental change in the federal student loan program. Previously, the federal loan system allowed students to borrow up to the full cost of attendance, regardless of the total amount. This provided greater access to higher education, but also contributed to rising student debt levels. The stated goal of these caps is to encourage cost consciousness among students and institutions, but for many, it creates a stressful financial puzzle that requires careful planning and difficult choices. The immediate effect is clear. Students and families must rethink how to pay for college, exploring alternative funding sources, and making strategic decisions about their educational investments. The $50,000 lifetime cap for undergraduates is a game changer. With college costs rising, this ceiling may not stretch far enough, especially for four-year degrees. For example, a student needing $20,000 per year would face a $30,000 shortfall over 4 years. That gap must be filled with private loans, work, or other sources, often at a higher cost or greater personal sacrifice. This new reality will influence where students apply and what schools they can afford. The cap could push students toward lower-cost community colleges or in-state schools, limiting options for those who dream bigger. For low- and middle-income families, the cap may feel more like a barrier than a guardrail. Careful financial planning is now essential from the very start. The pressure is even greater for graduate and professional students. The $100,000 cap for grad students includes any undergraduate loans, so borrowing for a bachelor's degree reduces what's left for a master's or PhD. Many advanced degrees cost far more, forcing students to rely on private loans or reconsider their plans. For aspiring doctors and lawyers, the $200,000 cap may not cover the full cost of medical or law school, which can exceed $300,000. Students from less wealthy backgrounds will be hit hardest, potentially reducing diversity in critical professions. The new limits may steer students away from public service or research roles, where salaries are lower and debt is harder to repay. The policy forces a tough choice: follow your passion or make a financially viable decision. For many, the path to advanced degrees just got much more complicated. The new law doesn't just limit borrowing, it also slashes repayment options. For new borrowers, there will be only two choices: a standard 10-year plan or a new income-driven Repayment Assistance Plan, RAP. RAP sets payments at 110% of discretionary income but stretches repayment up to 30 years before forgiveness. While monthly payments may be lower, you could pay much more in interest over time. Current borrowers can keep their plans, but anyone taking out loans after July 1, 2026 will be subject to the new rules. Popular plans like Save and Pay will be phased out for new borrowers. Navigating repayment will require more planning than ever. Parents face new hurdles too. The Parent Plus loan program now has a $50,000 lifetime cap per family, no matter how many children attend college. Parents must wait until their child has maxed out student loans before applying for Plus loans. This shift puts more debt on students and limits parents' ability to help. For families with multiple children, the cap runs out quickly, forcing them into the private loan market. The changes hit lower and middle-income families hardest, making college less accessible. The dream of sending kids to college now requires even more savings and sacrifice. Across the country, a wave of concern is building as students grapple with the implications of the new financial aid legislation. Campuses are becoming hubs of discussion, debate, and, in some cases, outright protest. Students are voicing concern and frustration, not just about their own situations, but about the broader impact on access to higher education. The prevailing sentiment is one of unease, as many feel the rug has been pulled out from under them. Many who carefully planned their education, meticulously budgeting and strategizing to make college a reality, now face uncertainty as federal aid shrinks, leaving them scrambling to fill the gaps. The financial burden is becoming increasingly daunting. One UC San Diego student said, reflecting the anxieties of countless others, "A lot of the aid I counted on is gone. I'm not sure I can afford to finish." The weight of this uncertainty is palpable, casting a shadow over their academic aspirations. A pre-med student worries, highlighting the specific challenges faced by those pursuing advanced degrees. With the new cap, I'll be short by $80,000 for med school. I may have to give up. The financial strain is threatening to derail carefully laid plans and lifelong dreams. The prospect of abandoning their chosen path is devastating. Parents, too, feel betrayed, having made sacrifices and financial commitments based on the previous aid structure. One Ohio father said, expressing the frustration of many families, "We played by the rules, and now the rules have changed. The cap isn't enough for even one child." The financial burden is proving to be unsustainable for many families. The common theme: these changes feel like new barriers, not solutions, further complicating the already complex landscape of higher education financing. First-generation and low-income students see the bill as a message, a disheartening signal that higher education is only for those who can pay, creating a system where opportunity is dictated by financial status. Many are rethinking their futures, reassessing their options in light of the increased financial strain, questioning whether college is still within reach, and exploring alternative pathways that may not require a four-year degree. The sense of lost opportunity is widespread, leaving many feeling as though their dreams are slipping away. For thousands, the new law means reimagining what's possible, forcing them to adapt and redefine their aspirations in the face of significant financial obstacles. As Trump prepares to sign the bill, the landscape of college financing is being permanently redrawn. The key points: strict new loan caps, fewer repayment options, and tougher rules for parents. Students and families must plan more carefully than ever, weighing costs and options from the start. The trade-off: lower monthly payments, may mean higher total costs over time. Parents face new limits, and students will shoulder more debt. The most important step is to stay informed. Talk to counselors, use online tools, and understand your options early. Careful planning is now essential for every college-bound family. Your education is a major investment. Be prepared to navigate this new reality.